Hello, everybody. Welcome back. This is the Hood Rat Strategist radio program only on 89.1 WIDR or online at widerfm.org. You can also find our show, full episodes on Facebook, Facebook page, or again, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. So I'm going to go ahead and dive into a couple of things coming out of the legislature here in the state of Michigan. They're both kind of related to some bills that the GOP is trying to push through. And this first one is yet another one of these kind of uh, voter suppression adjacent things, which, yeah, no, boo. Um, and excuse me. So this was published yesterday, as written by Samuel J. Robinson, and this is about the GOP pushing some more laws around voting, which are not particularly good if you are on the side of more people being able to vote. Um, so this is I'm just going to go ahead and read from the article. Michigan Senate passes controversial election bills that put emphasis on ID requirements. The Michigan Senate approved three bills Wednesday that would change some of the state's election laws, putting an emphasis on ID requirements for in person voters. Should the Republican backed election bills become law, absentee voters would have to take additional steps to ensure their ballot is counted, i.e., creating more hoops. The controversial election reform bills passed the Michigan Senate along party lines Wednesday amid contentious debate over the purpose of the legislation. Much of the pushback focused on one portion of the package that would expand ID requirements and add steps to the absentee ballot process. The effort to tighten voting requirements has been months in the making. In March, Michigan Senate Republicans debuted their plan to overhaul the state's election laws. Evocations of the civil rights movement and accusations of racism and voter suppression from Democratic officials and liberal activists ensued. Despite tweaks to the bills, Democratic officials and activists for weeks have accused Republican lawmakers across the country of being inspired by former President Donald Trump's unfounded claims of voter fraud. Speaking in opposition to the bills on the Senate floor Wednesday, Senator Jerry Moss from Southfield said the legislation feeds the same lies that fueled the January 6th insurrection. Moss and other Democrats on Wednesday said the bills are an effort to appease the demands of Republican voters who believed election related conspiracy theories fueled by the former president and his allies. And before we go on, it looks like oh, yeah, Lawrence, what's up? My co-host is joining us. It sounds like, etc.
Yo, can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah. What's up, man?
What up, man?
Yeah. Oh, not much. I was actually just started reading this article about some voter suppression nonsense coming out of Lansing.
Oh
Um,
man.
yeah. Mm, but
Yep. Yeah, I mean, it's Democracy Now! Actually just did a story about how out of all of the things that are going on in our country, right? We still got the pandemics are still going on. Um we have people who are housing insecure, all those things. The one thing that a lot of our legislators have been working on is making sure that people can't vote.
yep.
The one thing that Republican legislators, in particular, Republican legislators have passed, I think, over 200 bills, 250 bills, and state legislators to stop people from voting.
Yeah, I think like it's worth mentioning too. And I'm gonna read a little bit from more from this article, but like I don't know. I kind of saw this in the wind ever since 2018, and we read that really was like a watershed year. We got like all of these, we got marijuana legalized. We were able to get some, the gerrymandering bill passed, as well as improvements to our voting system, making it easier for people to get to vote and absentee ballots. And I always thought, Republicans, aren't going to like this. And one thing that a lot of these Democratic representatives up in Lansing are justifiably pointing out is a lot of them are using the fervor of all of the Trump's election lies about the election being stolen and stuff is like kind of their base of support to try to start pushing this stuff down our throats, or basically to try to rewind the clock. Because I was really impressed in 2018. Like we had as of that moment with all these law passings, like this we are really on our way to this state being kind of uniquely more democratic than much of the rest of the country. And now we've got a lot of the GOPs, Republicans up in the state legislature who's like, oh no, don't, can't have that. I did want to point out just a couple of things in here that like even I didn't even know about. This is pretty egregious. Senator Erica Geis from Taylor insisted Wednesday that the laws would create a de facto poll tax, which if y'all know your history, that is one of the big tactics of like Jim Crow voter suppression. But they go on to say Senate Bill 285, which allows that a voter who chooses to vote absentee ballot to also have the option to submit a photocopy of their government issue ID with their ballot, makes it such that if a specific voter chooses that option, they must incur an additional cost in order to cast a ballot. And let's go through the logistics of that too. Most people don't have a printer at home. Where's the nearest copy shop? Just an example, like I had to go get some copies made. Like I had to, it's like, it's certainly not within walking distance. And there's copy shop when I had to go print my taxes out, especially if you suppose you're like living in kind of an urban area, a low income urban area. There's probably not a ton of Kinkos around, or if there are, you gotta like bus to the suburb, multiplex mall or some crap, So yeah, it is
not just Kinko's, bro. Like we're talking about places like even the public library. A lot of people, it's hard for people to take the time if they're working 40 hours a week to then take an extra hour to 2 hours to go down to the library, use a printer. And if you don't have the money to do so, and you're using that money for transportation or for other means, you may not have that option. Like it's making it harder, and it's penalizing the poor for being poor, even though they just want to be represented in our democracy.
Yeah, and again, a lot of there's more of this article, and I'm not going to read through like the Republicans talking points, but all this is like trying to equate like oh, it makes our elections more secure, blah blah blah, and time again, when you look at the actual statistics, the actual incidence of quote unquote like the type of voter fraud that the GOP is so concerned about is like super marginal. It's like 0.0000 point something. Like you're more likely to get struck by lightning twice in a row after winning the lottery. It's really absurd. But again, they use it to justify these laws, which create more hoops, and again, make it more. At the end of the day, make it more difficult for people to vote, particularly poor people who they don't want to vote. Let's be like really specific here. Yeah.
I mean, because those poor people, a good portion of those poor people don't vote for Republicans. It's easier for us to disenfranchise people when they're not voting, when we're not voting for them, right?
Mm-hmm. And I will say on the flip side, to Governor Whitmer's credit, she did say she would veto any of the stuff that made it to her desk. But I think it does speak to like this is the importance of trying to get more progressive people in state legislators, and like really like the critical importance of like the work that groups like Voters Not Politicians are doing, because again, a lot of that is a result of the sort of partisan gerrymandering that Republicans really been able to take advantage of over the last few decades. And the Republicans have done a really good job of sweeping a lot of these state legislatures even in states that are more maybe more purple or dark blue, if you want to call it that.
Oh, speaking of, and I'm glad you brought this up. Did you hear the story of? Did you hear the story that's going on in Ohio? Since we're talking about uh, state, and talk about representation and making sure that we have more progressives. Did you hear the story about Nina Turner?
What about her? I don't. I heard she was doing pretty well. Is there something else going on I don't know about?
Oh! You haven't heard? Okay, so um, polling's come out that Nina Turner is winning her election. She's leading her race to about a 3 to 1 margin, right? Like she has 50%. Polling just came out that she has over 56% approval. There's 14 other people that are in her race, right? And she is and the next closest opponent only has like 15% support, right? Guess who came out? Guess what corporate Democrat came out to support her opponent?
Well, who was it?
I'll give you a guess. No, guess. Go ahead and guess.
Oh, actually, no. I do know this story. I just
Like the so Hillary
probably
Clinton
thinks her opponent should be 50 points ahead. No.
yeah. So Hillary Clinton came out and gave her support to Nina Turner's opponent because she believes that, that her name, remember, it's the Clinton brand, the Clinton name is going to help her opponent to get to beat Nina Turner. They're panicked. They're panicked behind Nina's doing so well. They don't want her in Congress. So, and also, let's also be clear, Hillary is still bitter because of what happened in 2016 and with Bernie. And she's so bitter that she wants to tank Nina Turner's race. Like I find it amazing. I laughed very hard
Well,
when I said this.
did you hear the follow up to that though?
Oh, I haven't.
Okay, so the day after that, and then this really tickled me. It's like some Schadenfreude stuff. Nina Turner had the best fundraising day of the election
Yes.
cycle. She made like
As,
6 figures from donations. It's like, yeah.
that's that that's how it's supposed to be.
See, that's like
That's what's
Hillary
supposed to
Clinton. Just
happen.
she doesn't have any sense of like she's not popular. She's really not. And it's like it's almost to the point where she's like a kiss of death if you get her endorsement. But like she's got this hubris, man. It's like
It's I think the thing that makes me laugh, especially when it comes to um when it comes to that story, and when it came to just the just the audacity of saying uh we don't want progressives in here. We hate progressives so much that we are willing to support the person who's 15 points behind to go against uh to go against to go against Nina. Like it for me that for me it makes me laugh. It makes me uh I'm I'm I don't know, dog. I find it insulting to everyone who's involved that instead of actually fighting for a progressive agenda, instead of using her popularity to fight for voting rights, to talk about how women should have equal pay, to talk about how the Republicans are threatening to obstruct another cycle if Biden wants to appoint someone to the Supreme Court. There's literally said that they literally said that they're planning to do that again to obstruct another Supreme Court seat. Instead of using her celebrity and her celebrity and her political know-how to protect Americans, she wants to come out and fight against a progressive whose sole job is doing that.
Just again, more like investing her time into basically the perpetuation of sour grapes. Like, let's be real here. Like, it doesn't really make much material difference to Hillary Clinton as a person, whether Nina Turner becomes the next congressperson there. But again, she's one of those Bernie people.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. It's just it makes me have faith less. It makes me lose faith in just our and just it makes me it reinforces the narrative that yes, these establishment Democrats could care less. They truly can care less about if we make it or not. They just care about their power.
I'm kind of looping it back into the whole voting rights thing. There is actually a silver bullet to this stuff, and again,
that is
the For the People Act, which again, it has its own problems, and it really does kind of entrench duopoly politics, etc. But it would basically inhibit all of these various GOP legislatures from really all these like hyper draconian voter suppression laws. But again, there's this guy in West Virginia and this woman in Arizona, and look up their files on Open Secrets, and you can see who's giving them money. But ostensibly, oh no, it's like the right to vote is not as important as maintaining the filibuster, or
like, man, okay. So I have to shout out the Young Turks. Shout out to Young Turks, because the Young Turks, Kyle Kalinske, and a couple other people, they predicted that the anti-corruption stuff that was in the For the People Act was going to be taken out. The matching funds to all candidates, like matching funds from small money donations, was going to be taken out. There is some minor transparency stuff in there, like the I forgot what the provision is. That there's some minor transparency stuff that we will be able to that we as citizens will be able to track on who's giving to some of these donors, but a large portion and like same day voter registration, that stuff has stayed in. So it's a mixed bag. There are a few good things that we truly should be happy about, but some of the major stuff when it comes to voting, when it comes to voter reform or fighting against voter suppression, or even transparency when it comes to who's buying our politicians, they stripped all that stuff out.
that I did not know.
Yeah.
Okay. Well.
Yeah. So because Joe Manchin, if I don't know if you saw the leaked audio of him talking to his donors, saying that, hey, we need to I need y'all to get some of these Republicans to help on the bipartisan commission, and I need at least 10 of y'all to tell these Republicans to vote with us. Otherwise I can't. He was like, otherwise it's going to be a problem. I'm going to have a much bigger problem. And that was some of the leaked audio that I think The Intercept got. Which The Intercept.
Well, I mean, it's true, because like Joe's whole argument relies on like these 10 hypothetical Republicans who are going to swing and vote with the Democrats if they water down their bills enough, which has yet to happen. It's just been complete abstention the whole way. So the sensible argument coming in from a lot of moderate Democrats is like, it's like, Joe, just vote with the caucus. We're not going to get their votes no matter what. So yeah, like And
Yeah,
it's funny
so
that he's having this conversation with other donors. It's like, hey, boss, you need to tell the other peons to throw me a bone here because I'm having trouble keeping the rabble in line and like
yeah,
making
I can't
excuses about
continue.
to pass
I can't
legislation.
continue. Yeah, I can't continue lying to people. They're starting to see through it, guys. Guys, he's out here what was it when Neo was trying to shoot the agent and the agent dodged all his bullets. He's out here like Trinity, help, guys. So the thing that makes me, but the thing there is positive to Joe Manchin's compromise. It's still a compromise. It's still a compromise that takes out all the important stuff that me and you argue about on the show all the time. And me and you talk about all the time.
See, this is new to me. I didn't even know that there was any compromise going on. I thought it was still dead in the water, but I guess maybe I missed that.
Joe has put out a compromise that he says that he Joe Manchin has put out a compromise of suggestions that he has said that he wants. Stacey Abrams actually was asked about it, and she was basically saying she was asked about it when she got interviewed. I think it was on MSNBC or on CNN, and she was making the argument that it's a good foundation. It's a good foundation building block to build off of that will help nationalize certain certain voting standards. To me, and again, this is to my opinion, it's still a very watered down piece of legislation. Is it better than nothing? Is it better than what we have right now? Yes. Will it make it easier for more people to vote? Yes. But is it the sweeping change that will affect corruption when it comes to fighting back against the influence of money in politics and things of that nature? No, because they stripped
I
all
think
of that out.
this goes back to like something we've talked about. Like, there's this weird cognitive dissonance with like the whole Biden administration thing, where it's like, we talked a lot extensively about like really comparing our historical moment to other parts of history and like talk about like how democracies fall apart and fascism and all that stuff. And like it really does feel that like is far of whatever democracy was left in America, it is on fire. It's like it is on fire right now. And it's like the Democratic Party, there is a fire hose. There's a fire hose right there, but there's like, oh, we could use squirt guns. That's where we're.
Well, I mean, the squirt gun, but you gotta understand why they're choosing to use squirt guns. They're choosing to use squirt guns because it would affect the money of their donors, and it would also affect their power.
Yeah, and of course
So,
you don't want the working people to get any ideas about that fire hydrant. Like no,
right.
low fire is good.
Right.
I'm kind of stretching the metaphor out a little bit too much, but
right. So that was recent news that I thought was that when it comes to the voting, when it comes to voting and voting rights in the For the People Act, like, and that's the thing. When Stacey's coming out saying that it's a good compromise, and that compromise takes out the anti-corruption, the matching funds for candidates that are challenging incumbent candidates. When it comes to Stacey saying, yeah, this is a good foundation, that means that's what the establishment wants, and this is what they're more likely going to go with. They're not going to go with what the more robust campaign finance reform that that act is. They are going with the compromise. And Stacey Stacey has issues. I have my issues with Stacey, especially after she started shilling for Bloomberg. Like I was like, all right, I was like, dog, Stacey, me and you gonna have problems. But you cannot say that she does not for voter rights and expanding voting rights across the nation. She literally lost her race because of the corruption, the voter suppression and corruption in her state. So when it comes to that, I do trust her judgment.